Well, welcome to Rotary. For those of us who've been around a few extra years, yesterday was a day that we knew as Armistice Day. It commemorates 103 years since the signing at Campaign of France of the Armistice between the Allies, World War I, and Germany for the cessation of hostilities on the Western Front of World War I. It took effect at 11 a.m. on the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. The date November 11th was declared a national holiday in many Allied nations to commemorate those members of the armed forces who were killed during the war. The first official Armistice Day was held in the grounds of Buckingham Palace on the morning of November 11th, 1919. This set a pattern for the Day of Remembrance for decades to come. After World War II, the name of the holiday was changed in the United States from Armistice Day to Veterans Day to honor all American veterans, whether living or dead in action, or deceased from other causes. In many parts of the world, people observe 2 consecutive moments of silence. At 11 a.m. on that day, the first minute is a sign of respect to roughly 10 million people, including civilians. Imagine 10 million people killed in World War I. Died in the war. The second minute dedicated to the living left behind, generally understood to be wives, children, and families deeply affected by the conflict. As we stand, let us pray, followed by a moment of silence. Dear God, on this special day, we honor, salute, and express our enormous gratitude for and pray for all of our veterans who have given us the freedoms we enjoy today. Thank you, and thank you. Amen. Amen. Well done, Paul. Thank you.
All right, join me. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as Rotarians, with everything we think, say, and do, is it
the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
All right, enjoy your lunch, and we'll be back at 12:45. sooner. Okay. Oh, what? Oh, okay, so we do have some viewers on YouTube. Wow. Like, we've got all over social media. That's very exciting. I want to welcome you to fall. I'm so excited that it's finally cold. And I'm probably a minority here, but I do love the cold. Let's see, I wanted to share with some of you a couple things. We recently discovered that we had a mission statement for our club. And I think, Jane, are you the one to thank for that? No? Okay. I thought we were. I was going to give you the credit. Oh. So I wanted to share this with you, and also this is on the front page of Club Runner. So, but these are really good. And then the board got together and we wrote the vision statement. And I'm just really happy with these. The mission statement, and of course, mission is the way we look. And vision is forward. But the mission statement says, the Rotary Club of Colorado Springs creates a meaningful fellowship of business and professional leaders dedicated to making a positive difference in our local, national, and international communities through service. I like that. And somebody wrote that. I don't know who did, but thank you. And we've had it for a while, but it was only on our paper application for membership. So now we have it on the website, and this week I put it on the back of your tabletop flyers as well. And when we get to the end of the meeting, if there's information on there you want, go ahead and take it. We reprint those every week, so because they change every week. The vision statement, I really like this. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Who doesn't want to belong to that, right? I like this a lot. So I wanted to let you know, several weeks ago we had the mayor here to speak, and I told you guys that's a great week to invite visitors. Well, we have the district attorney's office reached out to me recently, and the district attorney will be here on February 11th. So just keep that in mind. And today's speaker will be great would be great for speakers or visitors as well. But keep February 11th in your mind to bring people, because I think that would be really interesting. And I'm asking him for more Q&A than what we usually have for our speakers, because I know we'll have a lot of questions. Today, we have a birthday, and it's today, not just from this last week. So Dennis Shoemaker is going to be... So please join me in wishing him happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dennis. Happy birthday to you.
Who doesn't like Dennis?
Okay, and anniversaries this week in Rotary. We have two people that are celebrating the same anniversary from this past week. Carol Bach and Fabrizio Labate are celebrating 12 years in the club. I want to be like you when I grow up in about 3 years. And then, now we have our Madam President-elect who is going to do introductions.
Hey everybody, hope you're having a great day today. I would first like to ask if there are any visiting Rotarians here. Please stand and introduce yourself.
I'm Gary Pearson, member of the Rotary Club of Raleigh by the Pikes, Illinois, since 1990. Just moved to the Springs and I'm hoping to transfer here.
Glad to have you here. Hope you enjoy. And then we have several guests who we're hoping we can convince to join our awesome Rotary Club. And so could we have, I believe there's, I think you want to introduce?
Okay, sure. So my guest today is Paul Pisorski, right here. You can stand up. And he's visited once before. He's visiting today, but he already put his application in.
And then I believe we have Dan Hillman. Say hi.
Hi everyone, I'm Dan Hillman. This is my second time visiting. I'm really excited to meet you.
And another guest is, I believe, John Coughlin.
I'm not a guest for God's
Oh, no, he's not.
What's a guy gotta do?
He's not approved yet. He's not approved yet. Anybody just put it at risk.
Please vote for me.
Right? He's unofficially one of ours. So thank you for being here, John.
John, thanks for saying your name every meeting.
Okay, and then we also have Trevor Nolan. Hi,
It's
Trevor.
my buddy Trevor Nolan. He's transitioning from the Air Force after 20-something years. I forget how many. And I'm just going to say Army's still the best.
And then Trevor Gatos Crandall.
Trevor Gates
Good.
I'm actually a member of Rotary Club of Caloundra, which is on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland in Australia. But I'm moving here, so looking for a new Rotary Club and transitioning.
You're right.
So I work at Colorado State University of Colorado campus and teaching social work. So.
Wonderful. Welcome. And then we have a guest of a Rotarian, a very good welcome guest, Pam. Wayne, do you want to introduce? Wayne, do you want to introduce your wife?
This is my wife, Pam.
And fun to travel with. And then we also have another guest, Jessica McMullen, who is here with our guest speaker. So if you'd like to stand.
Policy and communications with the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. I work with Miley through our the PPACG policy, the Community Advisory Committee.
Thank you.
Any other guests? Seeing none, welcome. Look forward to seeing you all here again soon. Thank you.
I think we need to give it up for Madam President-elect Karen. All right. Let's see. I spoke with Carol Bach. She was going to try to zoom in if she could get home in time, but she wanted me to mention that we are looking at bringing an exchange student here. And we don't know dates quite yet and all that, but we're needing families to start thinking and volunteering to be those close families. So if you have any questions about what all's involved, talk to Dennis. He's done it a lot. And I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer your questions. But just be thinking about that if you're willing to. We try to get 3 families for them to go to throughout a school year so that they get to experience the United States in a couple of different families, a couple of different settings. But I think that we are trying to keep a student in District 11. So it should be somebody that is close to District 11 or in District 11 or willing to drive to District 11. So, and then just put the forms on the table. Okay, so Karen Moody and I have been noticing that there's a lot of outdated information at Club Runner. So we have forms in the middle of your tables, and if you've had any information change since, I would say like before COVID, just before COVID, if anything has changed, if you would write it on that form, and we'll put it in there, you don't have to go into Club Runner and do it, but we would like to get really updated information. Every once in a while I get mail back from Rotarians, so I know that I hope not a lot's outdated, but we do need to update those. Next, I want to introduce Samantha Chapman to do an update on our community service. Yeah, could somebody give her a mic, please? We need to use mics because that's how the people that are online hear us.
I'll just come up there. Does that one work? Can you hear me? No?
It's for the Zoom.
Oh, can only Zoom hear me?
No.
I don't think so. I'll just come up there.
The lights are blinking.
I don't know. That's fine. Awesome. Okay. Sorry. No. I won't be able to see your slides, but that's okay. So hopefully I know what she's showing you. So the first one is we have some community service opportunities coming up. So Cougars Care is going to be on the 19th and the 20th of November. So the 19th is the packing day. So basically you volunteer with the students to sort the boxes of food that will be delivered to families on the 20th, on that Saturday. So on Saturday, the families actually come to the school and you help put the boxes in the car. So feel free to sign up. Anyone else through Club Runner, or you can tell me if you want to sign up and I'll sign you up. So that is November 19th and 20th. The next one is Care and Share. Nope.
There, I got Care and Share up now.
Yeah, okay. So Care and Share happens every month on the second Monday, and that's a joint project with the Broadmoor Rotary Club. So there's a sign-up genius that's been sent out a few times that you can sign up to do those. I know Chip just volunteered and he handed out watermelons, so go volunteer and help some people provide food for them. So. And then the next one is Habitat for Humanity, which is also on November 19th. So that will just be in the morning, so 8:30 to 12, and you'll be helping out at the Sand Creek development. And then you have time to come here and join the Rotary Club meeting. So far I have Jesse signed up. I'll be going. And if anybody else wants to join us, we'd love to have you volunteer with us for Habitat. Next one is Wreaths Across America in December, so that's on December 18th, and then also we're sponsoring wreaths as well, so you can join us at 10 a.m. on the 18th to lay the wreaths at Evergreen Cemetery, and then you can also sponsor wreaths. I didn't check where we were at, but we were at 30 last week, so I'll take a peek and see where we're at now, but for every 2 wreaths that we sponsor, Wreaths Across America will sponsor a third. So, is that all I got? Okay, just other updates that are coming. Bell ringing, I did send a sign up for that yesterday, and then today she called me right before this meeting and rescheduled my times. So I'll be resending that out because she had some confusion between our club and other Rotary clubs. So I'll be resending some times out for that one. And then the Columbia Christmas Project, I should have the families for that this afternoon, and I'll be sending those out to get that signed up as well. So any questions on service projects or anything you'd like to see?
You're doing a great job, Sam.
Well, I want to continue my presentation on the foundation because this is Foundation Month. And one of the most important pieces of our foundation course is the individual contributions. So I wanted a quick share to remind people of what the recognition is for the individual contributors, and then also how you can use those recognition to recognize people that you know and love and you think needs recognition in the community. So, I'm the one with the clickers. So individual recognition. I don't know about you guys, you can see it over there. Sustaining member is somebody who does $100 a year. Paul Harris Fellow, Paul Harris Society. You've seen me give out my Paul Harris Fellow pins, which we'll give out some more next week, which is a very fun recognition. Major donor, Arch Clump Society. How many know about that? The Benefactor and Request Society. So let me just quick do it since we're short on time. You've probably seen these pins, and your fellow members have been wearing these pins. There's a different level of fanciness depending on how much you contributed. So you can ultimately get pins with rubies and sapphires in them. Paul Harris Society are donors who give at least $1,000 a year, and one I wanted to mention is last week's meeting, someone asked what counts towards the Paul Harris Fellow and Paul Harris Society. And it's any contribution to the annual fund, the Polio Plus Fund, or approved grants. All of those count. Now, it doesn't count towards the the annual fund, that money that we get back 3 years later, unless it goes to the annual fund. But in recognition, all of those things count. And a major donor, someone who gives over $10,000 in their special recognition, fancy crystal, I don't know what you call it, crystal thing, and pins that you may hear. We will actually have awarded a major donor this year so far. Yeah, one of our favorite past presidents. And the Arch Club Society, someone who gives $250,000. And you get your picture and your name and a wall and Rotary headquarters. Benefactor, which we all can do, is name the foundation as a beneficiary in our estate plans. You do have to have some, if any questions about any of this, since we're limited on time today, please don't hesitate to ask me. And the club can get recognitions and banners and that kind of stuff too. You've probably seen that. And the most important thing, foundation points. Every time you make a contribution, you get, for every dollar, you get a recognition point. And those points can be used to make someone else a Paul Harris Fellow. So typically, it's a wonderful way to recognize family members and other members of the community and their contributions by making them a Paul Harris Fellow too, and we can use those points for that. The other thing we could do with those points is your points are for you to give away, and so you can give them to other members to help them become Paul Harris Fellows. Any questions about that? Don't hesitate to say me. I have access to how many points everybody has, so I can help you figure out not only who you should make a Paul Harris Fellow and who you can help within our club by sharing points. And you've seen this one before, easy to contribute, Rotary Direct. That's the way to do it. If you can't figure that out, see me, I can help you. Because this is what, the most important thing is your individual contributions. You've all seen my phone number. So that, we don't have time for questions, but I'll be here afterwards. Next up is, I'd like to introduce our speaker, but I'm going to do a little sub-speaker first. Because as part of the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments, there's a new award, and I want to, that they're going to be awarding, and they're looking for input from the community. So I'm going to have Jessica quickly tell you what that's about before we introduce the main interested speaker.
So yeah, I just want to let you all know we've got a call for nominations going for the Communities Working Together Award. It's to recognize an individual in the region that's demonstrated leadership and an outstanding ability to work across jurisdictional boundaries to improve our entire region. There's information on this at the PPACG website, ppacg.org, or Miley actually has all of it because she's a member of our CAC.
Thank you. She said I was a member of the CAC, which is the Community Advisory Committee. We call it the CAC. And I'm honored to be a member of the CAC and have been for, 4 or 5 years. And one of the things I found most interesting is one of the key duties of the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments is in the area of transportation planning. And I found it very interesting that they look for input from the community rather than us just whining about our roads and bridges and transportation. Lo and behold, we actually have an input to it, but most of us don't know about it. And so I'd like to introduce today John Leosatos, the Transportation Director for the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. He's been here for 18 years, or I don't know how many years, many years. We moved here in 2018, that's where I got it, from Arizona. So he came from Arizona to Colorado. Isn't that awesome? And he was part of, for the county that he was living in, Pima County, Arizona, basically the same type of council of governments. That he's going to hopefully, I'm sure, explain what the Council of Governments does and how important it is to us, especially in the transportation area. So John, come on down.
Thank you, Miley. So, a little bit, well, first off, I've got two quick sort of side notes. First off, I think this is the first live presentation I've done in over 2 years because of COVID. When you're doing it on Zoom, you just sort of say, and now I'm going to read what's on my other screen to this screen. So I might be a little rusty, so my apologies for that. The second thing is, I think we've got leadership Pikes Peak here. But when I was in Arizona, I was a member of leadership, Greater Tucson Leadership. And when I was a member of Greater Tucson Leadership, they asked me to be on the board after I got done with the class, and I was on the board for 2 years, and then they said, oh, well, we're going to do Transportation Day. Come and do Transportation Day. So I come in, I do Transportation Day, and I just get up and I start saying, I know what all these acronyms are, I know what this plan is, and I know what that plan is. And then, as part of being on the board, we get the student feedback. I was crushed. Because what I thought people needed and wanted to know about was not what they actually did want to know about. So ever since that, because partly I can't take rejection, but only because I tend to try to learn from things. And so I think it's always better to sort of let the crowd dictate what you really want to know about. So I've got a few slides, and again, if you're like, gee, these slides look old. Actually, this is from a League of Women Voters thing we were going to do back in March of 2020 before COVID. But I stole it because I think it has a lot of the sort of the good introduction. So this is the prime the pump for your questions. Oh, it's wrong way. Oh no. All right. So first off, about the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. For those of you who don't know, the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments, we have all of El Paso, Teller, and Park County. That's 16 member governments. We've got about 750,000 people and about the 5 military installations. We have our board of directors, which is the elected officials from those 16 different member governments. And then under that, we have the Community Advisory Committee that Miley was just talking about, Transportation Advisory Committee, which is the committee that I staff, and then regional air quality, mobility, and water. So we do get into a lot of things. Things I like to say about Council of Governments is basically, it is a voluntary organization of the different entities within a region to talk about issues that don't care about boundaries. Transportation, you don't really care about a boundary. You want to drive from one place to another. You don't want to know that you've crossed over different jurisdictional boundaries. Water, air quality, none of those things care about lines on a map. So those are the sorts of things it's usually good to get together and do regionally and cooperatively. Let's see, I'm going the right way. Again, I think I'm already halfway through my time, so I'm going to. So again, this is where you can go back and ask questions. This is our geographic area. You'll notice this area in the middle. Ooh, look, I got a laser. This area right here is the Metropolitan Planning Organization. That has a little different group of rules because of federal regulations. If an urbanized area has over 50,000 in population, it's required to be a Metropolitan Planning Organization. So for our particular area, this area, which is mostly Colorado Springs and Monument and up into Woodland Park, this is the Metropolitan Planning Organization. So back to the plans that Miley was talking about. For that particular area, we're required to do a long-range transportation plan, which has to have a 20-year horizon, and we're always looking for people to participate on our Citizens Advisory Committee. As well, we're always looking for input from folks to say, what do you think of the plan? What other projects will be in the plan? That sort of thing. If you're outside of this boundary, and here's where I'm imparting knowledge, you would belong to the Central Front Range Transportation Planning Region, or CFR TPR. It's kind of fun to say, isn't it? So you still get input, but that's through a CDOT process. So I think that's part of what I can sort of hopefully impart to you all is geography matters when it comes to transportation. So if you ever have a question about, well, gee, what's going on here or not, you really need to get down to where that project is located. And we're always happy to help you. Give us a call. We can either get you over to the CDOT folks that we need to chat with, or if it's within the urban core, it would be one of our projects. I'm going the wrong direction. All right, so again, this was, if I had an hour, I would do the whole spiel, but basically, I could go through about the different steps. But I think the thing that you need to know is, it's the jurisdictions that usually bring projects into our process, as well as into, a lot of times, the state process. So if you're driving from point A to point B and you're like, well, there really needs to be something done about this. And I'll give you an example. I believe it was with the GAP project, people were heading off the GAP and they were going on to 115, and there was just a whole stream of cars. I think I got that wrong. I'm not sure if it was 115, but there's a whole stream of cars. So anyway, the people who live in the area called CDOT and said, look, we can't even turn left, we can't even turn right, we can't even get in to the thing. CDOT then went out to look at it and put up a temporary stop sign. So, not stop sign, a traffic signal. So again, the key is, what I can impart to you is, how do you as an individual get input into the process? One is, when we do these plans that I was talking about, making sure that you can do your citizen input. The other thing is knowing that geography matters, and if you have a question about a situation that you think is unsafe or something needs to be addressed, again, it kind of goes back to that individual jurisdiction. And I think I'm going the wrong way again. Dang! All right, and this is where the money comes from, and I think this is what I wanted to get to. Real quickly, and then I think I want to make sure I leave plenty of time for questions, is if you read in the paper, there's a new federal transportation bill that was passed by Congress. And the reason why I wanted to show you this is, this is you, the taxpayer. All the money comes from taxpayers. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. That's where the money comes from. You pay it through the gas tax. In Colorado, you pay 22 cents a gallon when you're at the pump. That goes to the state of Colorado, and 18.4 cents goes to the Highway Trust Fund for the federal government. The distribution is handled by Congress through the Surface Transportation Bill. Again, this is an old slide, so I had Fast Act done. Actually, technically, it's still correct because the president hasn't signed the new bill, but I will change that to the IIJA something Jobs Act. So the fund then gets distributed through the US DOT, through either FTA or FHWA, which then comes through the state with Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments having control of the funds that are coming into that metropolitan region, while the other bit of funds come through, if you're outside that urban area, through a CDOT process. So with that, that's just a taste. I can talk about SB 260, which was the transportation funding bill that the legislature passed last year. I can chat about the greenhouse gas rule. If any of you have been following that, we can talk more about the federal rule. We can talk about the different opportunities for the different plans. So what is it that you all really care about and want to know? You can ask me about specific projects, but 9 out of 10 times I'm going to say, I think that's on time and under budget. But I'll get someone to see that and let you know. Yes, sir. Please kick us off.
Can you comment on the express lane on part of the new Interstate 25?
So the question is, can I comment on the express lane as part of I-25? And so, yes, I can. So for those of you who might be new to the region, if you just came from Australia, for example, when I first got here, they were like, hey, so we're building this I-25 gap project between, again, Colorado Springs and Denver. And what they did is they said, hey, we need to address this for safety. We're going to go ahead and widen it from 2 lanes in each direction to 3 lanes in each direction. Everybody was happy, the money was flowing, there was ribbon cuttings and pictures of people kissing babies, and then CDOT came and said, hey, so this 1 lane is going to be a toll lane. Is that what we're talking about, sir? The managed lane. So then the managed lane sort of came up, and people were like, hey, what is this? So, and I think, again, this all happened before I got here, but I think it was one of those things where there was definitely a miscommunication of what different people meant about different things. When we talk about strategies for managing traffic, there's like 10 of the different things you can do. You can do carpool lanes, you can do the toll lanes, you can do other sorts of metering and ramping and sorts of things. So CDOT was saying, well, yeah, we told you, but all the other folks were like, well, we never knew that was the one of the 10 that you were going to pick. So while it was unfortunate that that sort of worked out that way, we were all committed based on what we said to the federal government to get a federal grant to do the project. So it's one of those things where at that point everyone was sort of committed. So yes, at one point, after the project is completed and they do all of their testing for the ramp meter equipment to make sure they're not just sending out ghost bills or random bills, they will turn on the toll lanes. And the thought process is, and again, I'm not here to tell you what to believe and what not to believe, is by having a lane that is set aside that can basically function. If there's no traffic, you're not going to take it because why spend the money? But if there's a lot of traffic, you're going to move over so you have travel time reliability. So that's what you're going to hear a lot of from CDOT is, this is about travel time reliability. Man, that is a tough word. So that way you can get from point A to point B, i.e., if you need to make sure you get to the Denver International Airport, you know you can take the toll lane. Now, I know friends from the Colorado Springs Airport that if they can't take it, that's what they get. They shouldn't be going to the Denver International, they should be going to ours. So, did I dodge your question sufficiently, sir?
How many miles of the I-25 is subject to that express lane toll?
I'm glad you're asking me very specific.
We called that the labyrinth because it took forever to get built.
Yes. So the question again for the folks that are on Zoom is how long is it? My recollection is that it's about 16 miles and 14 of it is outside of El Paso County. So the first 2 miles are inside El Paso County and the rest of the 16 miles is beyond that. But I could be wrong, maybe that's just one phase of it, but I thought that's what I seem to remember.
Thank you.
And I have a question over here. Yes, sir.
In many localities, electric cars and carpools are allowed to use those lanes for free. Is that the case here?
That is a good question. In Colorado, I believe they have the carpool lane is 3+. So again, my history in Arizona, carpool lanes were 2+. So if you went to the lane and you had a blow-up dummy or a mannequin next to you, if you had somebody else in the car, you were able to do that. But here, I believe it's 3. I do not know that the High Capacity Transportation Commission, I think is their official name, but they're basically the board at that works with CDOT to set the tolls. I think at this point it is a dollar amount, and I don't believe they have any other options for either electric vehicles or natural gas vehicles or carpool. But you're absolutely right, that is a strategy. Again, part of those 10 strategies that I mentioned before.
It hasn't worked. Many places when they open up that lane to certain kinds of vehicles, they get constipated. There are so many of those vehicles that they slow down the express lane to less than the regular lane.
Yeah. Yes, a good point. Well, first off, as our communications manager, Jessica made me promise not to use the word constipated in any of my responses. So I can't necessarily address that specifically. But you're absolutely right. When it comes to managing traffic, what you need to do is look at the response and the funding. So it's just like any other commodity, right? If you're selling sweet potatoes and you set the price too low, you're selling way too many sweet potatoes, it is an issue. If you set the price too high, then all of a sudden nobody wants sweet potatoes and they're having that green bean thing at Thanksgiving instead, right? So it's going to take some time for the high capacity toll commission to sort of set that sweet spot of what the right amount is going to be. But you're absolutely right. Sometimes they open these things and the ribbon cutting and everything's great, and then there's the great thud of the lead balloon. I think to their they're trying very hard to make sure that they're in the ballpark or the range right as they open. But that's the other issue that they have. Back to this gentleman's question. They put in the paper, if you all recall, how much they were going to charge even before they had the date of it being open. So either A, they're hoping no one remembers, I remember, or B, they're hoping that they'll just run it at a loss or inefficiently, as you say, sir, and then make that change later. But that's one of the things we'll have to look for, because you can see that it might not run the way it should, but they're not going to be able to make that adjustment too early, because again, promises that were already made because of all of the pressure that was put on folks after it was announced. And I think hopefully all of you sort of remember what I'm talking about.
What was the price?
I do not remember. I'm sorry. Well, like I said, if it was Zoom, I could just be sitting here, I could look this stuff up. And you guys are thinking I'm going to remember everything. Yes, sir.
If I own an electric car, and I do not, how do you get money from me to put into the highway trust fund?
If you own, the question is, if you own an electric car, how do I get money from you to put into the trust fund? If you own an electric car, prior to the passage of SB 260, which happened, I believe, in February, March of this year, prior to that, you pay a $50 fee that would, I believe, $30 of that went into the highway trust fund. The rest was just for the paperwork itself. When they passed SB 260 recently, they had a clause in there that said it was the Electric Vehicle Equity Fund, and so now you will pay an increased amount over, I believe it's 8 years, but it could be 10. And again, I didn't know there was going to be a test, right? So that you pay that additional amount, and that will end up being like $80 more. Now, that brings it to parity with what someone who owns a car now would pay. However, there was also in SB 260 about an 8-cent increase as a fee. So they can't do a gas tax, it was a fee as to what you were paying. So that's actually going to go up over time. Did that answer your question, sir?
Purchase a car.
That's what. No, that's on your renewal, your registration every year. So every year the state will shake you down for the funds, so that you're at least in parity to what people would pay on average if they were buying gasoline for a gas-powered car. Yes, sir. And I see questions over here in the corner. Yes, sir. You first, and we'll go here, and hopefully I
So, and this may be a question that you may not know the answer to, that's fine. But when it comes to, they were talking about the light road.
Yes.
From Springs to different. Can you speak at all of where the updates are on that and the priority list?
Yeah, so you scared me at first because you made it sound like you want specifics. But you know, general question, that's perfect. Why can't you guys be more like this guy? Right? Just ask a general question. So, all right, so front range passenger rail. The last legislative session, what they did is they passed a district. And basically what the district is, hopefully I can remember this, I believe it's 5 miles on either side of the center line of I-25 in counties that have a metropolitan planning organization, and then all of Douglas and all of Denver County. And the reason they did that is because that's basically where they think the line is going to go. And so they want to make sure that if you're in the district and you get benefit from the district, you're paying into it. So they created the district. They created a board of folks that have to be named to that board, I believe, March of 2022. If you're the governor, I think you have to do it in January. I'm not the governor, so it's not my problem. But I think the rest of us have to sort of name our representatives by then. Now, once that board is established, then they have the authority by the state of Colorado to call forth for an election to actually do up to, I believe, again, here, you stopped me. You didn't need to, which I appreciate, but I can't remember the exact thing. I think it was 7/10 of a penny, so it wasn't quite a full penny. But anyway, there's a tax that would be collected within the boundary of the district, and then would go to the construction of the different projects. Again, obviously, they can't build everything from Trinidad all the way to Fort Collins or whatever all at one time. So part of that call for the tax, they will also name the priority of the projects and which projects will be coming first. If I were a betting man, and I'm not, but because I'm going to pick this bet, the first section we'll see will probably be from Denver to help me with my Colorado geography since I'm somewhat new. Longmont, is it? The folks that were promised the rail before, right? So that's probably going to be that first project. That's probably going to be able to get the lion's share of the voters in Boulder and in Denver to go ahead and vote for it. So that's probably the first thing. So once they do something, we probably won't see actual front-range passenger rail through our neck of the woods for probably a good 20 years. But once it gets started, then hopefully momentum will take it from there, and there's opportunities to get funding from the federal government. So did that answer your question, sir?
Yeah.
Then I have one back here. Is this the last one? Oh, I have 3 more.
That was me and
I have 3 minutes.
he asked my question.
He asked your question. I got 3 minutes. So you, sir, will be the last question. The very last question. Make it count.
So I was wondering, within the Pikes Peak statistical metro area, tell us a couple of projects that you know about in the near future that will impress us.
That's a great question.
That will be what?
That will impress us.
Oh, ta-da! All right, so let's see. Right now we've got the Powers and Research Project going on. CDOT has started that. So I think we'll see some operational improvements along Powers. But often when you see projects like that, you'll find that it's maybe not the best analogy to use, but it's the mouse traveling through the snake, and my apologies to the mouse owners here, right? You just sort of move that tie up from one to the other. So I think the next one in our, I'm getting the hook. The next one in our sort of plan is Powers and Airport, right? So you've got the Amazon facility there. We're allowed to call it Amazon now, right? We don't have to use fake names. Okay. So it's like, oh look, it's a jungle project. Yeah, we know that's not Amazon. So that one's going to be sort of the next one from there, and then the other sort of thing again, and I apologize if I was too focused on Powers, is it needs to sort of wrap back to I-25. We need that what we call system-to-system interchange, because again, we're looking at a redundancy of the network. So if something happens, you need to be able to get off and then get back on again. Kind of keeping with the Powers theme, the private developer just finished the connection to I-25 to get you to the Bass Pro Shop. Well, now there's the next connection that will take you from there all the way to I-25. And we'll probably see that again in the near future as well. So everyone check your socks. Are they still on? I guess I did not knock your socks off, but I did try.
Thank you so much, John. I wanted to give you a certificate.
Wait, I wanted to get a certificate.
Yeah, well, there you got it. Yeah, Merry Christmas. And then here is the glass, too, whatever you're drinking. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.